Welcome to this week's edition of FMBN Podcast, brought to you by the Federal Mortgage Bank of Nigeria here on 7FM TV. On FMBN Podcast, we give you the details of all the activities and events at the Federal Mortgage Bank of Nigeria. This is very necessary for you in order to keep you informed and abreast with all the workings, products, and services at FMBN. And let me remind you, this program comes up here on 7FM TV every week with housing facts, exclusive interviews, commentaries, news, and many more on affordable housing in Nigeria. I am your host, Patience Okai. Let's go on a commercial break, and when we come back, I will give you the juicy details of all the things you need to know concerning FMBN Podcast this week.
The latest couple in town.
Good day, sir.
How are you? Oh, sit down.
Thank you, sir.
Drinks?
No, we're fine, sir.
How was the moon experience?
It was quite an experience.
How about house?
We are renting at the moment, but we intend to save enough to own our own house, right?
Why not avoid all those Shylock landlords and own a house up front? With the average income and cost of building houses today in Nigeria, mortgage is the best option. No sweat. I tell you what, that was how I got my first house, and I've never regretted it.
To make good homes, and by implication, a good society, an individual is expected to have an abode from which to take off and return at the end of each day. At the Federal Mortgage Bank of Nigeria, everyone deserves a home. Come join us at FMBN and let's shelter Nigeria together.
Welcome back to FMBN Podcast, proudly brought to you by the Federal Mortgage Bank of Nigeria here on 7FM TV. Okay, do you want to know 3 things that can make your loan take so long? Check this out.
This can be affected by 3 factors. Number 1, primary mortgage bank delay. Most of the time, the applications are delayed by primary mortgage banks due to their internal processes. Number 2, quarterly approval of loans by the board also contributes to the delay. And lastly, lack of availability of interim security to draw down on the loan.
So now you know. Of course, I'm glad to know that you are still with us here on the FMBN Podcast, proudly brought to you by the Federal Mortgage Bank of Nigeria. Before we continue, let's quickly go on a short break. We'll be right back.
One, two. What? Stop! No, the people. Don't go back our system.
Sorry, comrade.
Thank you.
As an up-to-date contributor of the National Housing Fund, I will advise you to just apply straight away for a mortgage loan. Yes, there are several types you could apply for. There is the rent to own a home loan. There is the cooperative loan. There are several of them. Instead of paying so much money to these Shylock landlords.
At the Federal Mortgage Bank of Nigeria, everyone deserves a home.
Okay, welcome back to FMBN Podcast, proudly brought to you by the Federal Mortgage Bank of Nigeria. So right now, moving to the exclusive interviews, talking about the scope, accessibility, and eligibility of rent-to-own loan is the Group Head Project Finance, Mr. Salisu Abubakar, with 7FM TV correspondent Austin Sino.
They can really know that this whole thing is not gimmicks, but it is transparent, just like we see it today.
Oh, thank you very much.
Yes.
We have a bit of things to show at the moment. We have various loan platforms, which the cooperative housing development loan is one. The key thing is for listeners and Nigerians to look at the dream of owning a home. Oh. It is one of the essentials of life after food and clothing, and you have shelter. So that is where the business of the bank is. So, and one thing that is very germane is the need for housing in Nigeria. So, and the Federal Mortgage Bank is very much positioned to close the gap of the housing deficit, where we try as much as possible to finance projects, and on the other hand, to also create mortgages for NHF contributors. So on one hand, listeners can actually, those that have not joined the scheme, can actually join the scheme. The scheme is open to all Nigerians. You don't have to be a public sector worker. You can be self-employed. You can be an artisan. You can actually contribute to the scheme. We have the option of the self-employed, the employed, and the part-time employed. They are all welcome to the scheme, and we have various packages for them. The packages that the bank is always, as I mentioned earlier, developing innovative products. So to suit the needs of Nigerians and different sectors of the contributors. So at the moment, we have a new loan that we have just, that is about to go live, which is the Diaspora mortgage loan, which is something that is key for Nigerians in diaspora to also take a part in the National Housing Fund. So it's an open thing, and we wish and hope that all Nigerians will key into the scheme and join the dream of owning a home.
Let's look at the category of people who can apply for this loan. Who are those who can apply for this loan? Talking about the rent-to-own.
Right. Okay. This loan is open to all National Housing Fund contributors. Okay. The loan was actually motivated by the bank looking at various ways of reaching out to the customers. You can agree with me that quite a number of Nigerians rent homes from landlords. So we now thought it right to say that, okay, we can now start a scheme where people can rent a home and at the end of the day own it.
Wow.
So that is to say that you get a house, you live in it, and you will be paying rent every month till a certain tenure that has been agreed with you. With eventually that rent will now be converted into the ownership of that house. So it has a separate feature than the NHF loan. Okay. It is at 7%, which includes an insurance element of it. So the total house is insured during the period, so you will not need to bother about losing the house through either special peril or anything. So that is also covered. So at the moment, the bank had financed quite a number of projects, and most of them are up for rent to own. So any National Housing Fund contributor that has seen any project that the bank is embarking upon would be able to key into the rent to own scheme. So, and we, in the nearest future, we intend to go out to the market as well to include private landlords to be able to key into the scheme, so that Nigerians will be able to start the scheme, rent and you own. So that is a softer way of owning your home while you are renting. So this is one of the motivations that the bank has.
How do one apply for this rent to own? How do one come into the package?
Yes, well, it's an option, as I mentioned earlier. You have the option of the National Housing Fund. You go through the primary mortgage bank and have your loan. You pay 10% equity. On this hand, you come to the bank directly. You don't need to go through the primary mortgage bank. And the loan is at 100%. So you don't need to pay any equity contribution. We do your affordability analysis, and once you qualify, we'll be able to issue a form. You fill it out, and we'll take it on and create the loan for you.
Can you tell us about the security of the loan?
Well, the security of the loan is the property itself.
Wow.
Yes, but rent to own the property ought to be on ground. So once the property is on ground, the security is on that property. So, and also as a worker, you have support from your employer or your company.
Let's look at the eligibility and the criteria for one assessing this. What are the eligibility? What are the criteria?
So, well, as I said, we have quite a number of loan platforms, and we are trying to capture as much as we can in the market. I mentioned the diaspora mortgages. We're looking at people in the diaspora. Yes. Most of them, we feel they're at the high end. And we're now looking at the low end as well. We have a loan called Home Renovation Loan, which is up to ₦1 million. So that loan is for National Housing Fund contributors that are willing to renovate their own homes. So which is a ₦1 million loan that they can be able to get. So starting from the low strata of the society, that is where it starts from, people earning up to 3,000. What the loan is, your repayment is 1/3 of what you earn. Okay. So that means that is once you were able to earn 3,000 and above, you are eligible for the loan, and you will be able to contribute to the fund. So as I mentioned earlier, we are developing innovative products. We're trying to capture each and every market. We're trying to see what sort of product will suit a certain market. For instance, if you look at the artisans now, the artisans are also a very large market. Yeah. And their affordability, they may have good affordability, but their payment comes in bits. Yes. So we have also captured that. We're trying also to sensitize them to join the scheme, and they will be able to get their own homes. So this is how the thing works. So at the moment, we're also in development of a few other products that will also capture those and that strata.
Okay, speaking further on accessibility of the mortgage loan, Group Head is National Housing Fund Group, Mr. Wenga Babade, had this to say. Let's join the conversation.
Okay, now, I believe that just like the Act of 1992 established the National Housing Fund, the interest is to ensure that the ordinary man in Nigeria can afford a house or a place where a shelter. Now, the taxi man in the street might be asking a question, and we want to put that question to you. Can he also, who is not a member of a cooperative, can he also have access to the loan?
Yeah. If you remember when we started, I said that our services, it's categorized into two. There's a formal sector and there's the informal sector. So this taxi man that you mentioned, they form the group under what we call informal sector.
Okay, so longer he has a steady income.
Yes, they can come individually, but we encourage that they come as a cooperative. But if it doesn't belong to any cooperative, yes, they can come to us individually. They can come individually.
How easy is the system?
It's easy, it's the same thing. So all it needs to do now is to fill NHF 2 form. Okay. You won't fill NHF 1 form, doesn't have an employer. Yes, it's informal. Okay. So that's it.
How easy it is for an eligible retiree, somebody who has retired from service, how easy is it for that person to access the fund?
When you are retired, what you are entitled to is refund. Okay. Not the fund, it's refund. Okay. So it's as easy as applying. That's how easy it is. You have to apply for your refund. Okay. Because you have contributed all these years and you retire now. So it's as easy as you applying. We're going to give you a form, you fill the form, If you fill the form correctly, now our turnaround time, management has said we should use our turnaround time, and we have reduced it significantly. All things being equal, within 2 weeks, we're going to get your refund. We're even trying to make it shorter, But within 2 weeks, if you fill your form correctly, your refund should not take more than that. So we'll give you your refund.
At this level now, what level of satisfaction can the National Housing Fund say they have in terms of Nigerians accessing these houses?
Well, like I said, there is the supply side, the debts of houses. What we do in Federal Mortgage Bank is mortgage finance. We give you money to buy houses. So the supply side, that's now making houses available. We have other sister agency that does that. Family Homes Fund, we have the Federal Housing Authority. That's the supply side. They're making houses available. So once you now see those houses, you now come to us. What we do, like I said, is called mortgage finance. We give you money to go and buy those houses. So if there are debt of houses, so that's another issue. If there are not enough houses for you to buy, that's another issue. But as far as we are concerned, what we'll do is we give you money to go and purchase houses. In time past, we tried to get ourselves involved in the supply side. That's
through what we call the EDL, Housing Development Loan, but that one has been suspended for now. Okay. So we're concentrating on our core mandate, on our core objective, which is housing finance or mortgage finance. So that's what we do. So in terms of that, I've told you the products and services that we have. We have the flagship NHF loan, we have the home renovation loan, we have the rent to own. We are even going into what we call Diaspora mortgage now, but don't let's talk about that now. So there are so many products that we have that. So as far as those products are concerned, we might not be there in terms of what we want to achieve, but the ship or the train has left the station. We are moving forward.
That was highly informative. Okay, that was Mr. Benga Babade, the group head of National Housing Fund Group of FMBN, and Mr. Salisu Abubakar, group head Project Finance with Aston Salem, 7FM TV correspondent. Thank you very much. We have to go on a short break right now. Stay tuned.
To improve transparency and accountability in managing the NHF funds, Federal Mortgage Bank of Nigeria has introduced *219#. *219# is a new way to know the status of your NHF contribution from anywhere. To use this service, dial *219#. Select 1 to update your contact detail. Press 2 to check your contribution status in any month up to the last 5 years. You can also use our mortgage calculator and bulletin board by selecting options 5 and 6 respectively. You can access other services by using direct shortcodes like *219*3# to retrieve your NHF number, *219*4*1# to check your last 5 transactions, and *219*4*2# to check your statement of account. No internet connection required, and it is available on all networks. *219#. Simpler, smarter, faster. Federal Mortgage Bank of Nigeria. Everyone deserves a home.
Super glad to know you are still with us here on 7FM TV and you are watching FMBN Podcast, proudly brought to you by the Federal Mortgage Bank of Nigeria. Before we end this week's edition, let's give you FMBN News Track this week. And that's it on this week's edition of FMBN Podcast, brought to you by the Federal Mortgage Bank of Nigeria. I'm super glad because this is highly informative and educating. So make sure you drop your comments and also your views on the comment section below. Don't forget to join us next week for another exciting edition. You can follow us on all our social media handles at Instagram 7TV_NIG, at Twitter 7TV_NIG, Facebook 7TV Nigeria, and YouTube 7FM-TV. You can also visit our website at www.7fm.tv, and of course do well to visit www.fmbn.gov.ng for more information. Until I come your way next weekend, stay blessed. Bye.